Rate hikes forcing people to sell. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article, which is highlighting the fact that people are being forced to sell because rates are going up higher and higher. Yesterday we looked at an article where the banks, or Westpac, was predicting rates would hit 4.1% next year and then pretty much for half a year remain at that and then start heading down. And people are asking, why would they do that? Why would they possibly do that? Recession, everyone. Oh boy. So let's have a look at this to see. Warning, mortgage buffer spells trouble for homeowners and buyers. So the buffer, the 3% they added on to the current rate in determining your ability to manage it, that's gone now. The rates have gobbled, or the rate increases have gobbled up all of that, and it's gone. So some people are now at the buffer or beyond the buffer. So they're being stretched, at least according to APRA and the banks. We'll have to see how that really manifests. I'd argue that it's going to manifest in discretionary spending falling down. We haven't seen that yet. It hasn't been impacted yet. So that could be that the rate increases haven't really filtered through because a lot of people have locked in. Or the people that have been hit with these rate increases have got sufficient financial buffers that, well, they haven't been impacted. Or they're kidding themselves and haven't realized that they have to change or make lifestyle changes. So one of the major banks, and this is from news.com.au, is predicting house prices are set to fall a further 8% this year. Yet both homeowners and buyers have been dealt a further blow, another 8%. But you've got to remember, they shot to the moon, guys. They shot to the moon. So until we really see prices below COVID levels or pre-COVID levels, it doesn't matter. Okay? That's the thing. A chilling warning has been issued that some Australians could be forced into selling their homes after a regulator refused to budge on a key issue influencing banks' interest rate decisions. The Australian Prudential Regulation Authority has refused to lower its buffer and will continue to insist that banks add 3% on top of the prevailing interest rate when assessing mortgage applications. Why is that going to make anyone be forced to sell? It means it might reduce people's borrowing capacity, but APRA have already said that they will change these rates or these buffer requirements in order to not squeeze out credit from the market to keep money flowing. So we'll have to see, guys. The move not only hit the average new home buyers, who will miss out on $21,000 in extra borrowing power, according to CanStar research, but it means homeowners could be trapped in mortgage prison. Well, people are going to be anyway. This is the problem, guys. This is when you have all these regulations, all these third parties intervening in the banking sector because we want a stable, secure, boring banking sector. We don't want all the excitement of the crypto in banks and home loans. And this is part of the reason why you're not going to see the banks all collapse all of a sudden in Australia and then bail in all of our money. That's not going to happen. We're not Cyprus. It's not some dodgy little bank that foreigners put their money in to get a little bit more higher interest and then you get all the criminals and mafiosos using it. No, it's Australia, the big four banks. Don't worry about that. Worry about your own personal financial situation and the all money's in clause that the bank or the business that you're in. If the bank says, sorry, we don't want to do business with you anymore, you've got a month to take all of your business elsewhere. That's a real risk. Only if it depends on your industry. The example a broker mate told me was a gentleman who had a business. It was dealing with the airline industry and it was cart rentals. But this is just around the huge attacks, and the banks didn't want that risk. So they told him to get all of his business out of the banks. His business loans, business credit cards, personal loans, home loans, credit cards, all of them. You got a month. Get lost. They're not your friends, are they? The Financial Brokers Association of Australia, the FBAA, said the announcement by APRA that the current serviceability buffer would be maintained makes it even harder for mortgage holders to refinance and negotiate a better rate. The FBAA Managing Director Peter White said the buffer, which is added to a lender's interest rate for loan assessment purposes means that many borrowers who can afford the interest rate of the day or even a little higher are being unfairly prevented from refinancing. Oh, this is what you get. This is Australia, guys. Shared burden. They want some of you to suffer for the greater good of having stability in the system. More borrowers are becoming mortgage prisoners, locked into a situation where they can't access a better deal because they don't meet the inflated assessment rate, he said. Others may be forced into selling their homes because the excessive buffer rate holds them prisoner to their current lender as rates rise. A 3% buffer was appropriate in the past because interest rates were at an all-time low and were always going to rise significantly, and this protected both the banks and borrowers. But we can't live in the past, and a buffer of 1.5 or 2% is far more appropriate today and in the near future. There you go, guys. There's calls to reduce the buffers. I can't say I'm surprised. And what will happen? People's borrowing capacity will instantly increase. This is what happens when you intervene in the market. The signals get all mixed up. People lose opportunities. But it's what people want here in Australia. You know? Someone will go on a current affair, oh, I lost my home, they lent me too much money, bitch moan, bitch moan. It's always someone else's fault. Interest rates have been predicted to peak at 4.1% in the coming months before being slashed again in 24 and 25. Yet the FBAA questioned whether APRA is potentially signaling to the market there is another 3% rise to come, because there is no other reason to keep the borrowers captive. Mr. White said it wasn't the fault of Australian consumers that interest rates had jumped so quickly, but they were the ones being penalised. It's time borrowers stopped paying the price for the rapid rate rises, he said. The FBAA was predicting the rise well before the RBA acted, but at the time many didn't believe us. Rates should have been managed better and raised in small increments over a longer period of time. He called on APRA to reassess the buffer rate regularly, but not less than every 2 years to ensure they are fit for purpose in the market and they are representing now and in the near future. Well, they should be updating it every quarter. It shouldn't be every 2 years, shouldn't it? It's having such a significant influence on the economy. Wow. It's a different world, the time frames here. Further analysis found existing borrowers wanting to refinance to a lower rate loan could be assessed by a lender as being unable to comfortably meet their repayments, despite currently paying a higher rate with their existing lender. I remember I had that. I was with my bank, and I wanted to combine two loans because we had one on one house, and we had one on this house, and we got all this equity growth, so I wanted to combine them all because it was going to be more cost effective. And what was the funny thing was that I needed to get a special person at the bank to talk, to do all the paperwork because I was a business and it was all so complicated. And I'm going, guys, this is going to be cheaper and easier. What are you doing? It's fun being a small business owner, guys. It really is. A borrower paying a $500,000 loan over 30 years, an average variable interest rate of 5.92%, who applies to refinance to a lower rate of 4.69%, would be assessed once the 3% buffer is applied at a rate of 7.69%. Oh, so you're screwed, aren't you? If the lender determines that they're not able to service a loan at 7.69%, this implies the borrower can't afford repayments for a rate of 4.69. This is rubbish. It should take... Wow. This is insane. Even though they're currently repaying the loan at a rate which is 1.23% higher, Canstar noted. Well, there just has to be then capacity if they're refinancing lower to ignore that buffer. But there you go. That's too complicated. That takes another level of nuance to understand what's going on here. The bureaucrats don't move fast enough to be able to handle that. Yet the benefits of refinancing aren't considered in the assessment, as switching a $500 loan over 30 years for an average variable rate of 5.92% to 4.69 has the potential to cut repayments of $382 a month, so nearly $400 a month, which isn't chump change. Canstar editor-at-large and money expert Effie Zallos said when rates hit rock bottom, there was certainly a need for APRA to raise the buffer rate. The buffer acts in the interest of protecting borrowers from rate hikes. The issue is not around whether or not it is needed, it's how the roadblock it's causing for some existing borrowers trying to refinance to a lower rate, she said. Ironically, the very regulation designed to protect consumers is working against those borrowers in mortgage prison. Yeah, it always is. We always want to protect consumers. We want to protect them. Sometimes it's like our government's a helicopter parent, isn't it? An overly protective parent wrapping a kid in cotton wool. And then you get a whole population that can't even be independent. Cry every time they stub their toe. Go to mummy government, please help. Feels like it. In some cases, the benefits should be taken into consideration rather than the rules. Oh, no. That's not how it works. You have to be technically correct in the rules. They matter more than anything else. If borrowers have not defaulted on their repayments in the past 24 months, have the equity and their risk assessment remains the same, then surely refinancing to a lower rate should be possible. From a consumer's point of view, it never hurts to put a case forward for refinancing or to ask about other options. APRA Chairman John Lonsdon said current buffers remained appropriate given the potential for domestic and global economic conditions to deteriorate in an information paper published on Monday. It comes as homeowners could take an even bigger hit, with Westpac senior economist Matthew Hassan warning that house prices are expected to come under intense pressure and plummet a further 8% nationally in 2023, creating further pain for those looking to refinance. He added prices across the 5 major capital cities are now down 9.7% from their peak in April 2022. The February month has seen some moderation in price declines, but this is unlikely to hold given the prospect of further rate rises, he said. Recent state-level tax changes also appear to have given a lift in New South Wales. Other indicators remain broadly negative. Buyer sentiment is cycle lows, price expectations subdued, risk aversion elevated, and labour market confidence softening. All states are now seeing corrections, but conditions continue to vary significantly. Falls are more advanced and deeper in New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania. Queensland has seen a sharp snap back since mid-2022. Both WA and SA continue to record much milder declines. Market in all 3 of these states are still looking relatively tight in terms of both listings versus sales and rental vacancies. So there we go, everyone. Well, let's have a talk about this. Once again, it's centrally controlled mechanisms in place to protect you for your own good that are causing harm to people. Nothing is without consequences. When you interfere in a market, you limit people's opportunities, you limit people's potential, and you limit the damage it can turn, or it can cause. Sometimes you want that to happen. People who make foolish financial decisions need to learn the hard way. But that's not how we do things in Australia here, guys. What do you reckon? Do you think they need to reduce the buffer or even remove it entirely? I can't see that happening. We'll see if they'll definitely reduce it, but they'll wait. They'll be a little patient. We'll have to see what happens. Anyway, thank you for watching. Check out my other channel, Heise BIM and Heise Does. And if you're a fan and want to support us, you can financially on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy our pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next episode of HeiseSays. Bye for now.